Welcome to the Harmonious Family Life. How to create deep connections, transform your family, and live with confidence and grace. My name is Ulrika Bilby, and my mission is to transform families and help them to create a more harmonious life where we all can thrive, individually and together, using our strengths and unique skills. And today, I will be speaking to Sue DeCaro. Sue is a parent coach, educator, and an international best-selling author. Her passion is to help people deeply connect to themselves, to their children, and to bring more laughter, love, and enjoyment into our lives. Welcome, and thank you, Sue, for being here today and taking the time out of your busy schedule. Really appreciate it.
Sure, it's my pleasure and honor. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I am very much looking forward to the conversation that we're going to have today. You are a well of knowledge, and there's lots of different things that we could talk about. What we will focus a little bit about, though, is technology, raising children in this era, which is very timely. But before we do that, why don't you just tell me a little bit more about yourself and why you do what you do?
Sure. Well, why I do what I do, I'll give you the short version. Raising children for me was very, very challenging, and it was chaos in my home each and every day when my kids were little. They are now 27 and 23, and we have all survived successfully. I do have a lot of gray hair from the journey, but through it all, I learned that there were better ways than the way I was conditioned from my own family, no offense to them, but in terms of raising children, that we actually have to see ourselves more clearly in the process, as well as see the child, each one unique, in front of us, and create a path that offers our children, the children that we have, the opportunity to be part of the conversation, to thrive, to support their needs, to help guide them and usher them through their own journey, because oftentimes our ego gets in the way. I know mine was pretty large. Couldn't fit through the doorway, that I knew all the answers in terms of how to raise children. I think when we look to our children for the answers, whether it be just general raising them or technology, which we're going to talk about, we really learned so much. So this created a passion for me when I learned how to shift the dialogue and create more harmony rather than chaos in my own home. I went back to school and got a master's level certification in parent coaching and did a lot of work in training on consciousness and deeper ways to connect with our children through all sorts of courses. And now it is my passion. I've been doing this for a number of years to change the dialogue for our children so that we're raising children who feel confident, resilient, comfortable in their own skin and able to take on the world as it comes to them, not create the children that we want to, put out into the world, but the children that we have. So it's just an incredible passion. It does not feel like work. For me, this is just what I love to do. And I work with people all over the world. So thank you for asking.
Yes. We're so grateful because it's not an easy journey to be a parent. Definitely not. And we're growing with the task, because each age has their own challenges. So just diving then straight into this with the technology and raising children in this era, and also now also with pandemic, when technology is even more so. Just the fact that we are sitting here, you and I, it's good, but it's also challenging.
It's incredibly challenging. And I think the pandemic has offered us more opportunity to see technology usage in our home because we're all home and we're all using technology. Our kids are on Zoom for class and, we're trying to connect with our work or do what we do on our technology as well. And I think that technology offers a tremendous opportunity. So we look at it as a struggle. And when we look at things as a struggle, it's a mindset. And we already are fearful or concerned or worried about what it is our kids are doing with whatever it is we're looking at in this struggle arena. When we look at technology as an opportunity, it totally creates a different mindset. it can take a little bit of the fear away from what are my kids doing? What is this like? And really put us in the zone of how can I connect with my children? How can I understand what my children are using technology for? Step into that arena and have more conversations. So we have really grown accustomed to fearing technology as a whole and what it's doing to our kids. We can't parent from a place of fear. It doesn't work. Our kids see the fear, they smell the fear, and they're going to find a way around the fear. So, I hope that makes sense. This is really a time to look at technology as an opportunity to create the shift that you want to by understanding what your kids are doing. Have a conversation. This is a conversation starter technology to connect more deeply with our children.
Yes, because I think also, I mean, we all understand this because we're using the technology as well as adults, but it can cause frustration, I think, as well, and a lot of nagging. So why don't you guide us a little bit through that? Do you have some helpful tips how you can, show up as parents?
Sure. I think the first thing and the most important thing is look at your technology usage. So oftentimes we want to tell our children, you can't use your screens at this time or that time or the other time, but we're the models for our children. And yes, I know we're all working from home and that's important, but we have to create boundaries for ourselves in terms of our own work. And when we show up with our digital, devices at the dinner table or in the kitchen while we're making dinner, or why our children are talking with us. So what does your job require and what does your day-to-day requirement in terms of connection with technology look like? Make sure that you are embodying what you're trying to teach your children, because we're the models for our kids. And back in the day, as I like to say, my parents, and I'm sure a lot of parents around that time said, do what I say, not what I do. Today, it's about doing what you do. Kids are watching us, and I don't know when the shift took place. I wish I did, but the shift took place where the kids start watching the parents more, and we're modeling by what we do, not what we say. So this is an example of how we can set the stage for perhaps technology-free zones in our home, which is a beautiful opportunity to have the connection with our family. For example, at my dinner table, whether it's now or a few years back, people do not bring their technology. I don't even want it in the pocket where it's vibrating and you're distracted, because kids are really great at, answering texts under the table. They're super great at it, as well as, in school, in class. They find a way to do it without looking. I don't know how, but they can. These are the techniques our children have learned and mastered beautifully. So, having a basket where everyone puts their device in at dinner time is a great opportunity. You too need to put your device in as parents to model that this is an important time for screen free, not as a punishment. Let's free ourselves from our devices and connect with one another. So that's the first thing. The second thing is step into the zone where your children are using technology. So for example, a lot of parents complain about Fortnite or some of the other games. These games, yes, they've been developed with a lot of backing to be addictive. They've hired consultants. I've read the history. They've hired consultants to help create the addictive versions of this game or these games, many different games for our children. So when we step into the arena with our kids and play, for example, Fortnite, we can actually learn what it is that they enjoy about the game, what they experience when they're on it by experiencing it with them and seeing it from their eyes and through their eyes. Number one, it gives us an opportunity to see through their eyes. Number two, it helps us to have conversations about what this is like, because we understand it a little more than just reading a magazine article about how it's bad for our children. And the third piece of this is this gives us the opportunity to talk with our children about their consumption and to bring boundaries around it by understanding what they're doing, acknowledging how we see the beauty in this and the connection with their friends and the love that they have for Fortnite or whatever it is. You can change the dialogue based on what your kid's using. And how we need to come together to create boundaries, because being on these devices all the time is not healthy. My belief in the conscious parenting approach is that our children should be part of the dialogue. That doesn't mean they make the decisions, but it means they are part of the dialogue. If we want to limit this, we need to bring them in and talk about how we can together create these limits. If we are the dictators in our family and we say you cannot use these, past 8 o'clock and you can only have an hour, I'm setting an alarm and all of these things, the child has no buy-in or voice to be heard in the whole process.
Oh, wow. Lots of gold in there, lots and lots. And I think that is what you bring up is so important, because it's what you say, they see us. So the first step then is to look at ourselves and actually do some changes ourselves. And I love what you said about the special place, the basket to put your phone, because then you actually are helping yourself. Right. To be able to do this, because sometimes our hand just goes out automatically to grab the phone.
Right.
And, yes, I actually just gave our family a Christmas gift, and that was a box. So we're practicing this now, and it's good. It's very good. Yeah.
You can take it a step further. So if you have young kids that are creative, have them make a box. So empowering our children to be part of this is super big and important. And so, if you want to create a box for screen-free time, maybe when you're watching a TV show, you use the box or the basket or whatever it may be, give your kids the opportunity to decorate something to make it fun. Then you're including them, not just instructing them.
Yes, that's a great idea. I love that. So, So what you're then saying is that we need to find ways that works for us and structures around it, and then create a platform to talk about the children, and also understanding what environment they are in.
Right.
I
think fear also, if I could touch on another thing, fear also is a big issue for parents. And, when we read about technology and what it's doing to our kids, we absorb the fear, and then we come to parenting with that fear. So one of the things I do with parents around the world as a coach is dissect the fear, deconstruct and see what the fear is bringing up for us. Because sometimes it's, we're afraid they're going to grow up without their brains being fully developed, right? Or we're afraid they're not going to do their schoolwork. I have parents who have teens who are afraid that if they give their teens carte blanche to use these tools, or even any time, that the kids aren't going to do well in school. There is no direct correlation between you taking the phone away from a child and the child getting all A's, or you leaving the phone with the child and the child not getting all A's. It isn't directly correlating. Yes, when you take the phone or technology, a child has more time. But how does that child choose to use that time? That's not something we can control at certain ages, to make them sit down, do their schoolwork so they achieve A's. So we have to really be careful about how we use this as a tool in terms of our fear and our discipline. Because oftentimes when a child does something that we, are concerned about, or we feel is inappropriate, I'm going to use quotes for that, we might discipline them by taking away the most important thing for all of us, right? How would we like it as parents if somebody took our cell phone away? Yeah. We'd feel lost. I know I would, I admit it. And so here we take the cell phone away that may have absolutely nothing to do with whatever the child did. And yet we're giving technology the power. It has so much power that that's the go-to when our child does something. So, I think that we have to embrace that technology is here to stay. It's a part of the family, and it's a useful tool. It's a useful part of the family. It's a useful thing that we can do. and connect with it in a way that we're not fearful, and it's not the enemy, and it's not the powerful force that gets removed as soon as somebody takes a step in the wrong direction, because we're giving technology way too much control in those instances. So it's really about unpacking your feelings, your fears, your connection, your discipline around these devices, and what that looks like for you before you can actually enter into a collaborative conversation with your children, because fear is an energy that shows up. They can feel your fear, and they can feel the big concern about technology that you're holding, if you're holding it. So first, dissect your feelings, your fear, your relationship to technology and your children before you even come to them, because the weight is incredibly powerful, and they will detect it.
Yes. So then when we have this technology and we are using it, so we are then in our own world, or that's often how it is, you are in your own world. So how can we then help ourselves as families then? The box is one thing, to put the tool away so that you can be present with one another, and then to be able to listen and be present with one another, because I know that you are talking a lot about learning how to listen.
Right.
And could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I'd actually like to share a story from one of my clients. So my client has two children, and they came home from school, and they would immediately turn the TV on as they sat down at the bar in the kitchen, where she was across from them with a snack. And she said to me, "Sue, I don't understand why, when I'm standing here, this beautiful snack I'm offering to them, and ask them questions about school while they turn the TV on." And I said, "Well, tell me a little bit more about what you're doing." Right? I'm just going to demonstrate.
Yes.
Okay. Scrolling and sorting the mail, she said. She said, I'm just looking at Facebook and, talking with them and scrolling and sorting the mail. And I said, let's do an experiment where you do not have anything in your hands, and you create the snack for them and yourself, and you sit down next to them. And so she did. We did this experiment. They did not turn the TV on because they felt her presence. And what I mean by presence is not only physical presence, emotional, mental presence, but her eye contact, her attentiveness, her willingness and wanting to hear what they had to say when she asked a question. When we are holding a device in our hand, we're not listening to what our children have to say wholeheartedly. Parents always ask me, how do I raise respectful listeners? You be one. You be one. As I said at the beginning of this, modeling is about what you do that our kids are seeing and watching. So they're watching everything you do. So if you're speaking with them, like this particular client, and you're sorting your mail, that's how they're listening to you, half-heartedly, half caring, doing something else, and not attentive. If you want your kids to be attentive, be attentive. So that means look your kids in the eye, get on their level, catch their attention when they're talking or you're talking, so that they're able to see and hear you. Oftentimes we think, it's dinner time, so we're calling our kids for dinner, right? And that, let's just say they're on a game, they're playing a game. And we are freaking out and calling 4 times, why don't they hear us, right? I'm sure lots of parents can relate. And by the 4th time, we're freaking out, we're screaming. It does not have to be like that. We have legs just as they do. And our children are not sitting in their rooms or wherever it is they are saying, when my mom calls, I have to hear her, listen, and run. They're busy, they're occupied, they're doing other things. They may even have a headset on. They're not listening. And when children are zoned into something, whether it's technology or something else, they could be playing Legos, they're not hearing the world around them. They're in the world of them. They're much more present than we give them credit for. They could teach us how to be present. Take a 4-year-old. They're not going to hear you. They're busy. They're really busy with their Lego construction and, the whole realm of it, which is a beautiful opportunity to recognize.
Yeah.
So go to them instead of screaming 4 times. If your child doesn't hear you the first time, go to them, see what they're doing quietly, calmly, get on their level, make eye contact. Hey, Jimmy, I wanted to call you for dinner. I see you're really busy. You probably didn't hear me call, not you
Mm.
didn't hear me yell 4 times. So, this is respectful communication. And this is honoring how to teach our children to connect with us as well. When we don't hear them the first time, they may come and say, Mommy, what are you doing? Can you see me? I'm right here, and the same type of thing.
Mm.
But raising respectful listeners is about being one. It's about being attentive, being present, being, being quiet, being silent,
Mm.
right?
Mm. I
As our
love that.
children are listening or talking, we need to listen, not be ready to say something. And oftentimes, and we talk about this a lot here in my house, and have for a number of years, listen to hear, not to respond. So how often do we, take a teenager that shares some convoluted plan? I had teenagers that did that, convoluted plan for their weekend. And you're thinking, help, what is going on here? Whereas if we listen and we say, when you have all the detail, you listen to the whole thing. You don't want to interrupt to say, that's absolutely crazy, I'm not letting you do that. You listen. You hear the whole thing out, and then you say, once you and your friends have a firm plan or idea of a plan, then come to me with all the details and we'll talk about it. Because probably every other parent is saying, no way. And you don't have to say anything, but listen to hear what they're telling you, not to quickly speak and shut it down. This is how we
Oh,
honor and value our children.
so powerful. Wow, that's a great tool just there. And it's because it's so easy to just react immediately. And
Yeah.
you come up because you see what's happening or where they're going. And then you have to say, for some reason, you feel like you have to say no.
Right.
So what you're
Right.
saying then is just stop and listen and let them finish.
Yeah. And you can take a moment after that to digest and process. But we have to do a better job in this world of listening to hear, not just our children, each other. Our minds are so busy, we want to respond.
Yes.
Oh, need to tell her, a response to what she just said. So we interrupt,
Yes.
and we're not valuing one another when we do that. And we really want to share value with our children, because in 100 different ways, silently, every day, our children are asking, do you hear me? Do you see me? And do I have value? Do I matter? And so listening and being silent and attentive and respectful when they speak is one way to show them that and teach them, model that. And, to kind of circle back to technology, think of technology as, a child playing with their dolls or their Legos. It's something that is normal, common in their lifetime. It maybe wasn't for us, so we're a little freaked out by, all the ins and outs of it. But if Legos had ins and outs that we needed to learn, we'd learn them, right? There was dangerous parts of Legos we would learn so we could talk about it with our kids. It's the same thing. Learn the dangerous parts, or ask your children to learn the dangerous parts and come and share them. So another story that I think is really powerful. One of my clients, her daughter wanted to download Snapchat, and she was really concerned about it. And I said, ask your daughter to research Snapchat, the positive sides and the not so positive sides, and bring them to the dinner table, to the dinner conversation. Here's what the makers of Snapchat have to offer us in this platform: good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak. And I put those all in air quotes. And that empowers our child to learn about Snapchat, right?
Yeah.
And share with us what they've learned. And you can do this with any child that you have that wants to download or engage in an app. Have them do the research. These kids know how to research. They know how to use. I mean, my 6-year-old can Zoom call me on her mom's phone. They know how to do all of this. They're brilliant. So why not empower them to do research and bring it to the table, literally, so we can all have a dialogue about it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Empower our kids to actually come up with things, a solution, and a discussion point that we can discuss together.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Sue, for coming in and sharing your knowledge today. I'm sure that you will have a lot of more questions around this topic, but I think what I feel after talking to you is more that we will actually share the technology with our children and actually go in. And I will do that with my daughter. I just that she's having in these games, and I'm just thinking I'm actually not with her in the game. So that's something that I'm going to take with me from this conversation, just to be more in their world. Is there something that you want to just share, some last words that you want to share with the audience? I know that you have a free gift that you want to give as well. And if people want to get in contact with you, where will they find you?
Sure. So the one thing I want to share is parenting is extremely challenging. I can attest to that. I have a lot of gray hair because of it, as I mentioned. So be gentle with yourself. Every day is a new opportunity. Please, please, please don't beat yourself up if you feel like you messed up or you stepped into the muck. Every day is an opportunity. So reflect, take it forward. How can I do this differently? As opposed to judging and beating yourself up. So it's what I like to call be gentle with yourself. So take that away. Be gentle with yourself. This is not easy by any means. I do have a free gift, and that is 10 ways to connect with your children. And connection is important. It's more important than correction. We first need to connect deeply with our children, understand who these people are in our homes, and see things through their eyes so that we can understand them better and guide and raise them in a better, by doing a better job for them, not for us. And lastly, you can find more about me on SueDeCaro.com, my website, as well as a private Facebook group that I have that is called Conscious Parents Thriving Kids. And again, this is my passion, to help parents. So if this sparked anything in you, for you, with you, that I can help you through, please reach out and connect with me.
Oh, beautiful. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for listening to this conversation. And make sure to get the free gift that will be with you in the email. So thank you, Sue.
Having me. Thank you.
Have a lovely day.
You too.